Hi, I'm Becky with LSU's Communication Across the Curriculum, here to share some basic tips on capturing audio. Now, when you're getting ready to create an audio-based project, it's great to think about it in three concepts or categories. How are you preparing? How and where will you record? And how will you produce your final piece? So no matter if you are capturing a voiceover, a podcast, or a presentation that has to be captured all in one take, by thinking about it in three components, you can be sure that you get the best message possible across. So for this particular part of the series, we're really focusing on recording. So before you start to push record, it's best to make sure that you have your plan. Now, I'm showing you an example of gathering up your information in the form of a storyboard. And this is part of that preparation step. But make sure you have your plan that you want, you've identified your main goals, you have the materials that are necessary, you know how much of each segment that you need to record, the type of audio that you need to record, and the statements that you need to make. This should have been done early in the preparation stage, but you want to have it back again so you're ready to go. Step two is to make sure that you have all of your materials at hand and easily visible and available. So you're not having to shuffle through papers in order to find your notes, or you're not having to dig through your laptop and those clicks of the keyboard are being heard audibly. This is going to help you reduce any of those unwanted noises. Plus, if it's something that you have to do at one take, it's more professional because you can go through those items as necessary when they're ready to be discussed. Step three is to double check that you understand all of the settings on the equipment that you're going to be using. So this means making sure the gain and the volume are at the location you want. Everything is placed in an ideal location. So for instance, your mic is on a sturdy table or on a tripod in order to reduce any unwanted vibrations. This is also a good time to make sure that your files are being saved in the appropriate place and that you've named that folder that's something ideal for the project that you're doing. Now, if you're going to use, say, a lavalier, meaning one of those mics that attach to your lapel, this is a good time to go ahead and make sure you have it set up correctly. So for instance, one thing that I sometimes use is my headphone jack, or my headphones that came with my phone. And so they have a little mic and they have the earpiece. But because I like to talk with my hands, I also want to make sure that I don't pull on the cord. So here's a time where I make a circle with it, I place a loop, and now if I accidentally bump it, I'm pulling on the loop rather than jockeying with that mic. So think about other elements that you can stage so that you avoid those unwanted jostles. The fourth step in recording is to identify those unwanted noises that are within your space and to set up signs or strategically request that things are quiet. So one thing you might consider is if you share a space with others, notifying them and letting them know that from this time to this time you're going to be recording and ask that they be quiet. You might also want to place a sign somewhere outside of where you're recording so no one bumps into your room. It's also a best practice to silence your phone and email notifications, particularly if you're recording on your device. Now, when we're also checking noise, those unwanted sounds, it's also a good time to carefully examine yourself, your guests, and our fellow presenters on what they are wearing and if those items are going to create unwanted noises. The best test to determine if something that you're wearing is going to be disruptive or create sound is to do a practice run wearing those exact items. Think of it as a dress rehearsal, and then listen to the recording for any of those unwanted noises, like clothes rubbing or accessories banging into each other. This is an opportunity too, if you're wearing a lav, to take your hair and tie it back so it doesn't disrupt that mic. And it's also the time to replace any other accessories or remove them so they don't bang into each other. And if you're wearing a jacket, like a nylon windbreaker, it's time to take that off and replace it. And especially too, if you're doing a professional presentation, you want to dress that part. This is also the time to consider if you're going to be standing or sitting. And if you're sitting, does your chair creak? Do you tap your foot? Do you bump into the table? Minimizing those noises now is likely to lead to a more successful recording and reduce the amount of work you have to do in production. Now, when you have the opportunity to edit what you've recorded later, it's in best practice to record about 20 to 30 seconds of your room noise. This is also known as a sound print of your space. And it's good to do this at the very beginning of your recording as well as at the end. And what a sound print allows you to do is to capture any of that ambient noise or those sounds that you can't necessarily control for, such as electronic hums from your device or perhaps the air conditioning unit that is running. These are things that you can use the sound print in the production stage and remove that from the background. It's not 100%, but it does lessen those sounds. Step 7 is to be sure that you are hydrated. Now, if you're speaking, this is going to be really critical. If you can, take sips of water throughout so that you can keep your voice smooth and ward away any coughs. If, though, you're going to be presenting on a stage or in front of a group and you have that one take, I suggest going ahead and drinking a little bit of room temperature water 15 to 20 minutes before you're going to present. This is going to make sure that you're warmed up, you're hydrated, and you're less likely to have a coughing fit during that moment. Now, you can still bring some water, and if that happens, take a pause, take a sip, and then restart. Step 8 is that whenever possible, you want to try to record as many times as you need. And so one of the things to do is consider that you have enough time in which you can focus on capturing that best take, even if it takes multiple times. Don't be afraid to restart, especially if you have any kind of background noise. And this doesn't always mean that you have to restart the entire session. Maybe it's you messed up for one of the particular pieces, so you take a pause, recenter yourself, check back in on that energy that you had previously, and then just restart. It is a good rule of thumb that if you are going to be recording something that you can edit after, to record about 3 times as much as you need, so you have plenty of samples to select from so you can pick the best take. Now, in situations where you only have one take to make it perfect, practice out loud before hitting record. Practice in the same body position that you're going to present. So if you're going to be standing, make sure you have stood and you've delivered that content. Also, practice away from your slides or any other materials that you may use to supplement what you're sharing to get your message across. This allows you to internalize those ideas, to become very comfortable with your message, and then your talk or your presentation is more fluid because it's part of you. Step 9 is when you're recording, consider breaking your statements up into uniquely contained ideas. By focusing on breaking those statements up into a series of contained ideas, it helps you with any additional editing later. So for example, if you're going to have a question and answer portion of your recording, include the question in the response. So for example, if you had the question, what do you think is the most important takeaway from this method? You would answer, the most important takeaway for us when applying this method is, and then you would include your answer. By repeating that question within your answer, it ensures that one, you have your place, you know where it's going to be, and for those that might have gotten distracted, they can hear the full piece. Now, step 10 is all about when you're going to be presenting with a group. And sometimes we have to deliver in teams. So we want to make sure that we understand what each team member's responsibility and role is going to be prior to when we push record, and to practice in those positions. You want to reduce any awkward moments like who's going to advance the slide or who's going to answer those questions. By rehearsing, you understand those roles. Plus, you get an understanding of each other's mannerisms as well as how long each other is going to talk. So you can think about different cues you can give each other or ways in which you can guide the presentation as needed. This is also the time to critically assess each other's tone, clarity, and delivery, and determine if anything needs to be changed. By actually analyzing each other, you become more cohesive and you can ensure that your message is clear. Now, that you're ready to get started and you're ready to push record, do remember that CXC offers multiple different resources and services to help you no matter what your discipline. So for instance, we offer writing support, we offer presentation support so you can schedule appointments, 30-minute consultations with one of our team members, and they can look over your materials and provide you with suggestions and help ensure that your message is strong and clear. We, of course, have 2D and 3D services. So any of those visual designs that you're creating, whether it's a poster presentation with graphics or a 3D model, we have those services that we can provide and support you. We also offer a plethora of different AV equipment that's available for checkout. So if you need a particular mic or you need to understand what types of equipment to attach to your smartphone to make it that portable production studio, we can help you. So bring in your projects, bring in whatever devices that you have, and we can assist you with making that work. So again, from beginning to the end and finalizing that project, we are here to help. So visit us at cxc.LSU.edu and go ahead and visit our website because we're frequently updating those services. Now, get out there and get recording.